I'm Carter. May our panels please introduce themselves?
Hello, my name is Ms. Freedom, and I am an ex-employee of the school. As a matter of fact, I used to work here. I was a school nurse when I was at this school, but when I retired, I was a counselor.
I'm Dr. Leona Nicole Freedom, and I graduated from here in 1999.
Hello, my name is Tamara Huff Brotherson, and I have worked in the school district here at Live Oak for a couple of years, and now I serve as in the medical profession here locally in Rockport, Texas.
Can you please describe your heritage?
Heritage is a big word, and it all depends on how you want to look at it to describe it. But my heritage to me goes way back probably before you were born or even existed, because my heritage goes back to the people that helped make Black history, the people that are important to me to help me to get my education to be the person that I am today.
So these are my parents. My dad is from Louisiana. Have anybody heard of that state? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I went there.
You went there? Awesome. And my mom is from Texas.
That me.
For heritage, for me, it means a lot. Like Ms. Freedom says, that it's a broad word. It could mean a lot of things because we also have culture. And so bringing the heritage culture together is celebrating the past. So that would mean like my ancestors, our ancestors who fought for different things for us, that they made a way possible for us now to be able to do it without having to ask permission basically to do it. And so that the heritage is a broadened statement. It means a lot to different people, but basically it is our culture, just like everyone else has culture. We have culture, meaning, and it basically, I would say this, to me, it's morals. What is right, and what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. So it's just, that's what Black heritage means to me.
Ooh, that's so cool. Why is Black History Month so important?
It's important because our forefathers before us laid a foundation so that we could exist. Long time ago, we weren't allowed to go to school. As a matter of fact, I think some of you are 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. I wasn't allowed to go to school with other students. I was called what they call segregated. Does somebody know what segregated means? What does it mean?
It means like you're separated.
That's right. Right on time. They wouldn't let, I didn't know the difference. I thought, the town I live in had a school. I thought I could go to school there. But they said, no way. So I had to ride a bus at least over 20-something miles a day to go to school, to an all-Black school. And I wasn't allowed to go to school there. However, I'll tell you a little bit more about my history when we get a little bit further, because when I came to Rockport, Rockport was the first school that integrated. What does integrated mean? Do you know what that word means? Come together. They allowed Black students to go to school along with all the other cultures. This was something that I thought was fantastic. I came to Rockport in the 5th grade. Do you know where the Live Oak Elementary, the old school is? How many of you know where that is? That was Rockport's first school, and that's where I went to school. And I was shocked because I got to go to school with everybody else. So to me, my history was very important because it allowed me to go to school with other students. And as a result, other kids from different towns like Aransas Pass and all that, they were allowed to come to school here too, not just me. So Rockport is very important to me because it was the first school in this area that integrated for Black students.
And there is a picture of her when she was at Rockford Elementary. I'll pass it around so y'all can see it. She doesn't know I brought it, but I bet you would think that would be really cool to see. Back then, it was black and white cameras. We didn't have color cameras. So,
But everybody at that school went from 1st through 5th grade.
so to me, it's important because raise your hand if you want to be remembered. You don't want to be forgotten, right? I think everybody raises their hand, right? Somebody, you want at least one person to remember you were here, right? Well, we feel the same way. And there's a lot of our history and a lot of stories that we have to tell. And I'm just grateful that you are sitting here today to give us an opportunity to share some of that with you.
Black history is important. It's not only a time to remember the past, but it's also a time of rejoicing for our future. We celebrate what African Americans did in the past, but we also have some amazing people that are doing things that are African American here in our future. So it's very important that we not only celebrate the past, but we make sure that we remember that we all have a bright future. So it's time to celebrate our future as well.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. What is a heritage tradition you wish to pass down that your parents have passed down to you?
Our biggest thing is food. We like to eat. What I would pass down is, well, what my mother's passed down was some of her recipes, not all of them, you know. They always leave a little bitty something out to make it special. No matter how hard you try, you're not gonna get it like them, because you know what? They didn't measure anything. You know what a measuring cup is? Yes. Well, forget it, they didn't use it. A little dab of this and a little dab of that. That's what they would say. You know, well, how you gonna learn how to cook some biscuits like that? So my heritage, I wanted to know about the biscuits, I wanted to know about the pies, I wanted to know about all the food that we had in our culture that we like to eat. I also like to read. And in case you didn't know, most of our people learned how to read from the Bible because we didn't have books like they have today. We weren't allowed to have books, and a lot of things when we went to school, we had hand-me-down books, and we didn't have the real books. So some of our people never learned to read. But one of our biggest things is because of what our other culture did, we as students, you see us now, we learned to read. We got to go to school. We got to have an education. So it's real important. But my biggest thing is food.
I feel that generally our people are very kind people, and we are willing to give and serve and help, and I appreciate that about our culture, that you can always count on us to be there when you need something. And I hope that that's something that we continue to grow for ourselves, to help share with others, but also within our own culture.
What they passed down to me was, it's really weird, but July of every year, the second Saturday of every July, we have a family reunion. It has been going on for almost 99 years now. And we meet in different areas of the United States. We used to all meet in this one area that we call a blue hole. And they call it a blue hole because all the trees cover. So when you go in, it's just dark. So we meet there in July, second Saturday, every year. And as Sister Vera said, food. Food is like the most important thing that's there. But we also meet because it's a way, diversity doesn't have to be a bad thing. Diversity, we bring cultures together, we unity together because it's a beautiful thing. So that's what my great-grandparents did. They bought this land so that we can make sure that we always meet on the second Saturday every summer in July.
Wow, that's so cool. What is something you would like to say to all the students and staff at Fulton Learning Center about the importance of embracing diversity, such as the Black community along with the other cultures?
That's kind of hard because Most of you weren't born when I worked in the school district. And actually, I worked for this school district 39 years before I retired. So I worked at every school. So I got to see all the different diversity. And you are, if you look around, are you diversity right here? Yes. There's a mixture of you. You're not all the same color. You're not all the same, from the same home. You're not all from the same family. You're diverse. Yes. And to me, I would like to say I was blessed to be in a school system that had a variety of culture, because that also helped teach me. I got to learn about everybody's culture, not just mine, and that is important because culture is what carries us into the future. That's what we live from, not only what has happened in the past, but we also live what happens to us from day to day. And it's very important that you learn a lot about the person that maybe is sitting next to you. It's important to know about the family that lives across the street. It was very important for us to know our community when I was coming up. I lived in Rockport. As a matter of fact, I can tell you almost where I used to live. How many knows where Las Camales is? Okay, I lived right behind there. So, in my community, I was the only probably little black person in that community because my whole heritage around me were Spanish. And I learned about the Spanish culture by living close to them. And we became a family. My mom would say, as far as from that lady sitting over there was her neighbor. And guess what? She knocked on the door. Pauline, open the door, bring in the tortillas, let's eat, okay? So I learned that the Spanish culture, one of their things was tortillas. I didn't know what a tortilla was until I was a little older girl, and I didn't know what that was, but you know what? They sure are good when they're homemade, okay? So it's important that you learn that yes, we're all different. Yes, we all have different cultures, but what makes us unified is when we learn to get along in those cultures with each other. Because, can I tell you something? What happens when you cut your finger? What happens? And what comes out?
Blood.
What color is that blood? Red. What color? Red. Okay, so it doesn't matter what color you are on the outside. Inside, we all bleed the same blood, and it's what color? Red. Thank you.
Wow. So, yes, I feel that one of the things that I really want you to not be is afraid. Afraid to get to know something that you're not used to. Because here's the thing about being a person. I ain't gonna tell you this quite yet because you're still little. We like to do things and we like to do the same things over and over again. We get kind of comfortable and set in our ways, right? But how can you grow if you're not ever exposing yourself to new things? If I have a plant and I don't water it, is it gonna grow?
No.
And it needs water, it needs sunlight, it needs nutrients. You have to keep soil and space, right? Oxygen, all those things. So I feel that I want you to not be afraid to learn about cultures that are different than you, because that is what helps you grow. And then when you help me grow, because you let me learn about you. I believe it would be good too for generally Aransas County to consider celebrate, not only that we learn to just accept and embrace differences, but we learn to also celebrate those differences. I know there's probably about 100 historical markers in this area, marking different things, houses, streets, people, but there's none that represent the history of Black people in Aransas County. So that's something that I would like to have become something that we steward so that more people can get to learn about these stories and learn about the people here and learn about the history here, and that you have spaces that you can access that will show that. There
is a book at the Aransas County Library. It's a history of Aransas County. And there lists the first blacks that came to Rockport area in there. And actually, we're part of that family that were the first blacks to come here. But it is a book that is listed. But what I want y'all to know that it is very important to know the culture and what blacks represent. That's what's most important. Because no matter what, all of our families, every culture there is, there's gonna be some bad and there's gonna be some amazing people in it. So we don't wanna judge them that way. So the best thing to do is like Sister Vera, Miss Freedom said, is to learn your neighbors, learn your friends before you go and judge them. But the most important thing that I want y'all to understand is that blacks were not allowed to have this opportunity to go to school, to read and write. And so take this free schooling and as an opportunity, because a lot of people don't understand that they fought to be able to go to school. Way before Miss Freedom was able to go to school, they were fighting to be able to read, to write. Some of us don't take that seriously and we take it for granted because we don't want to do it or it's hard, but hard work pays off. And that is the best thing that I want you guys here at Fulton to understand is remember that your teachers do not just tell you to do something just because they don't like you. They're telling you because they want your future to be bright and very successful. And that is just not just for you, for blacks, it's for everybody here. They want y'all to be successful. So that ties into our community because we also want everybody to understand that because we fought, we want our kids to be able to go to school and have the same opportunities as everybody else has.
Thank you, that was so amazing.
Because we have black skin or brown skin, that we were not equal. But what did Miss Freedom tell you about what happens when you cut? We all what? We all bleed the same red blood. But back in the day, they didn't believe that we were equal because of our skin color. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, right? But that's what they thought back then. Because even back in the day, y'all, they used to think the world was flat. And then somebody discovered, no, that wasn't wrong. But until they discovered it, everybody was walking around thinking that eventually you would walk off the earth.
Kylie.
She said, why were they in black?
Black and
Why
white.
are the pictures black and white?
So back before we had color, they didn't have color. So it was only pictures could be taken was in black and white film.
And your television.
And the television used to be just in black and white. There was no, I know, no pretty colors.
It doesn't matter if your skin is different color, if your blood is still the same.
That's it.
That's right.
Amen.
Adelina.
Do you still wear color? Even though it was a black and white with camera on the TV?
She wants to know, would you prefer to have it in color now?
Actually,
No.
did you still wear colors even
Oh,
though they were
yeah.
black and white?
It just didn't show up when they
It
took
didn't
it.
come out in color.
Yes.
There was no color to be shown. Okay.
Yeah, you could
It
take it
blows my
off.
mind that they don't know this. You know, it's such a new generation.
Elijah. Đi đâu đây? Khoác vào.
I actually read a book, and was there stuff back then that black people couldn't use?
It's a great question.
Yes.
They used to be separate water fountains.
And
That's,
the people couldn't, and the black people didn't decide they wanted to go to the bus. The white people decided.
That's
it.
right.
Yes, you've been reading. You've
Very
been learning
good.
history. Good job.
Eric.
Why were
because everybody didn't believe that we were equal.
And the people that were in leadership were the ones that controlled who could do what. Just like we have a president, well, we had people back there that said, we're not gonna allow blacks in our restaurants. We're not gonna allow blacks on our school. And until that system broke, and we got other people saying, no, we need to give them a chance, we couldn't go into these places. Even in Aransas Pass, y'all know where Aransas Pass is? There used to be a restaurant called Little Bob's, and it was a restaurant, and black people couldn't go in there. They had to go to the back door if they wanted to go in there and eat. And guess what kind of people cooked in there? Black people cooked, but we couldn't eat in there. We had to eat in the back or not go in at all. The same thing with me when I was going to school. I couldn't drink from the water fountains. I couldn't use the same bathrooms because I was, remember what the word was? Segregated. So that means that I couldn't go in and do those things. But when I came to Rockport, the story was different because we were integrated. So I was shocked that I could go to the bathroom, you know, without having to ask permission. But it's because the people that were in leadership, they were the ones that were over us. They had the control, okay?
Olivia.
Before you go, let me say one thing. I want y'all to understand that not all white people felt that way about black people. I think that is very important that y'all understand that they all didn't feel that way. We've been treated nicely by some amazing people. For instance, like my grandmother was never a slave. Okay, when she came to Rockport, she was bused out to Corpus, I believe, to school. However, she was never treated wrong. So everybody's not like that. When I went to school here, I went to school at Live Oak from kindergarten to third grade. I knew nothing, and I mean nothing, about segregation. I knew nothing about racism. I knew nothing about that. When I moved to Louisiana, that's when I got the whoa, because here I was treated as an equal. So please remember that everybody wasn't like that with the nasty thoughts, okay?
Olivia.
Oh, no.
Homeschool.
No, we didn't homeschool. When we were at home, we were working. I mean, we had to work. We had to do other things, but we never really had homeschool. Now, a lot of us, though, it wasn't like homeschool. Our parents did want us to learn how to read and write. So when I started school, I knew how to read, I knew how to write, and all that kind of stuff. But actually having school at home, no.
Drake.
When did Black History Month start?
When did what?
Black History Month.
1976. 1976.
1 year younger than me.
Back then, before segregation ended, did black people have to work more than white people?
Yes.
Yes. That's a great
That's a
question.
good question.
A lot of the work that we did was for white people. So like a lot of the service things, the nanny, the cook, the lawn, a lot of that.
I want to tell you
Farming.
though, my grandmother lived in Rockport, and that's one reason why I came to Rockport to go to school. She was the first black lady to do washing and ironing. Back then, we didn't have washing machines that you push the button and ding, ding, ding. No, they had old rub boards that they had to wash their clothes and rub them and do this. And my black grandmother was the first lady that you could say owned a laundry. She owned the laundry here in Rockport, and a lot of people took their clothes to her to be washed and ironed. So I learned how to use one of them old kind of irons. If you see it in the movie, that you heat on the stove and you iron. Guess what? Miss Freedom don't iron now.